Hi, my name is Isaiah Smith. I am here to talk about being a student with special needs. My mom asked me if I can pick any teacher in the whole world, who can it be? I told her someone who is nice and understands me. I love learning new things and I try to be my friends in sports. I like when my teachers help me understand new stuff. It might take me a little longer to get my work done right, but I try my best. I like to ask a lot of questions. Sometimes I have challenging days, or I have a hard time sitting still. But none of this doesn't mean that I don't want to learn. One thing that helps me is when people take the time to just understand me. I like to be a leader like a team captain, and I am very helpful. Connecting with people is really important because I think it helps us work together. Being different is okay. Everyone has something special about them. If we can learn to understand each other and help each other out, we can make our school a better place. I hope that you can help make sure that every student like me gets a chance to feel understood and to learn in their own special way. Thank you for listening to me today. I am here
Thank you. And his mom, Miss Teresa Smith, I want to recognize you next.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. The meetings were perceived as hostile because the staff took offense to the questions that I asked instead of being taken as a tool to obtain clarity. I recall a meeting at the secondary level where I had just heard the word combative for the first time. I couldn't even actively continue in the discussion because I tried to comprehend what was being said and whether it was a tactic used to deflect the issues being discussed. If this wasn't bad enough, there was a time when a staff member stood up, exerting her voice to bully me, while everyone sat there and watched. This was a direct quote from my published piece of work. I want to begin by acknowledging that this was an experience that predate both this board and this administration. For those familiar with the IEP process, you know who the meeting participants were, but do you know what I was up against? One word can sum it up: culture. In an effort to improve the experience for all parents and students in special education, I began advocating here in April 2024. In just 9 months, I am grateful to say that this administration and the board members took immediate action. I finally felt heard, understood, and like a true contributor to shaping what families need from this system. Let's be clear, changing a culture takes time, but I believe in acknowledging both the effort and some of the initial outcomes. Earlier this week, I had an IEP meeting, and the team opened up the discussion by asking for my input rather than dictating the course of action. Following the meeting, I received a call from the Family Support Center. These small actions made me feel valued and that the team cared. Guess what? This can change the entire tone of a parent's experience. I want to take this opportunity to thank you all. Thank you for not silencing my advocacy. Thank you for understanding the true intent of my efforts. Thank you for recognizing how advocacy can create positive change for over 16,000 students and their families. And I thank you for allowing me to simply be a parent in the process. There are times when I have to remind the schoolhouse about policies, regulations, and statutes, and why this may be necessary. It sometimes overshadows the small wins that my child and others achieve. I recognize that much work remains. Addressing the immediate issues was a strategic step, and we've gained some traction. Families now feel empowered and confident that their voices matter. I ask that we continue this collaborative approach, and most importantly, I ask that we continue to genuinely care about how our actions shape the culture of PGCPS.
Thank you so much, Ms. Smith. Before I call the next speaker, I want to stop and make sure that we do proper protocol. I think we have 2 elected officials in the audience today, so I want to recognize former State Board Member Clarence Crawford, as well as State's Attorney Aisha Braveboy. Thank you so much. And from my understanding that, current board member, excuse me. And State's Attorney, from my understanding, you want to speak, we'll yield the floor to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, and members of the Board of Education, and of course, members of Prince George's County Public Schools. I am so proud to be here as not just your state's attorney, but a proud graduate of the Prince George's County Public School System. And I want to thank the many superintendents and administrators and principals, vice principals, and educators and support staff who made my experience in Prince George's County Schools one that I will always remember, and also helped to prepare me to lead the criminal justice system here in our great county. On December 31st of last year, I sent a letter to the board, and I wanted to just read that letter for the record here today. Dear board members, as you approach the 2025 bargaining agreement open discussions with the Prince George's County Educators Association, I want to extend my sincerest wishes for success. There can be no more important negotiations than between Prince George's County Public Schools' most critical partners, nor a more meaningful subject than our schools, which county taxpayers fund at 62% of the county's general fund budget. I support and urge you to maximize transparency during these talks. My experience is that transparency, where possible, cultivates trust between negotiating partners and amongst the important stakeholders we serve, which are the parents and taxpayers of Prince George's County. I can think of no greater bargain than the one reached by the partners whose joint decisions establish the framework for success of the Prince George's County Public Schools. My hope is that my hope is that the talks conclude with an agreement that will be a source of pride and satisfaction for the board and for PGCEA, and that both parties leave talks confident that a bargain has been struck that is also a roadmap to success for the Prince George's County Public School System and for the students and families it serves. Again, I wish you much success in everything you do, and as always, I look forward to partnering with you. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. The next speaker I'll call is Camila House from Maya Angelou French Immersion, PTSA.
Good evening, Superintendent House, members of the board. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you this evening and the urgent need for the increase on behalf of Maya Angelou French Immersion parents about the urgent need for increased staffing, training, and support for special education students at Maya Angelou French Immersion. Our school currently serves approximately 30 students with IEPs, but we have only 2 special education teachers for the entire school, K through 8. This staffing level is simply inadequate to provide the individualized support and interventions these students are entitled to under the law. Under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, teachers are mandated to implement IEPs and accommodations, but many classroom teachers also lack the training and tools to do so effectively. This leaves students with autism, ADHD, and related executive functioning difficulties, as well as other learning challenges, struggling to access the support they need, and in an environment where they're also learning a second language. For example, students with executive dysfunction may appear disorganized or unable to complete tasks, but these behaviors are direct results of their disabilities and require specific strategies to address them. But if the teachers don't know, they don't do it. Without proper training, these teachers often misrepresent the needs or fail to provide adequate accommodations, negatively impacting these students' educational experiences. This training issue also applies to 504 plans. To address these challenges, I ask the board, the school system, to reevaluate the needs of Maya Angelou French immersion, conduct a comprehensive assessment of the special education and 504 plan needs at MAFI, including staffing, resources, and training gaps, increase certified staffing, hire additional certified special education teachers and paraprofessionals as needed to meet the needs of students with IEPs, and ensure proper implementation of accommodations. Regularly train classroom teachers and paraprofessionals to provide ongoing professional development for classroom teachers to recognize and address student with special needs, particularly executive functioning difficulties and other learning and behavioral challenges, and implement IEPs and as well as 504 accommodations effectively. Strengthen accountability and ensure that both IEPs and 504 plans are consistently and effectively implemented through regular monitoring and oversight. With additional resources, training, and support, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. House. Next we have, and forgive me if I say your name, pronounce your name wrong, Jania King, individual, special education.
You actually said it perfectly, thank you.
I practiced it a couple times before it came back.
Okay. Good, wonderful. Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Jania King. I have two boys that attend in PGCEA. They're 7-year spread, so please pray for me. So I said one is in high school and one is in elementary. My journey at PGCEA started when my oldest transitioned into the 2nd grade. He started off in private school from K3 through 1st grade. However, the difficulties that he had with executive functioning and with learning in the manner in which he learns was a struggle for him. We later found out that he was ASD 1, so autism spectrum 1, but was not aware of it at the time. We started off in 2nd grade, going into Capitol Heights Elementary. He struggled there quite a bit. The principal, I talked with the principal, I asked for resources. I didn't know the exact terminology to use. However, I said, my child needs help. I want him to be successful here. And so they said, well, we'll help you. We'll give you the resources, but didn't get the resources. I didn't even get a meeting with the staff until after the school year had ended and my son had already had issues, whereas that was not his boundary school, so the principal ended up signing, that he needed to go to his boundary school, in which I didn't want him to go because the school in which I placed him was the one that was a better fit for him educationally, because I didn't want him to fall short with that. Now, moving forward, I have my son that's now in elementary school meeting the same barriers. He is ASD 2, and however, it's just a problem with getting IEP meetings. They started getting a 504 plan, but I suggested that he still needed an IEP, in which I met many barriers. So I had to go through sending emails and, to the board and everything just to get, a meeting with the staff, which I feel like it shouldn't be that I'm going above people's heads, where you should be able to talk with the staff there and be able to get the resources that we need. I asked for things like a dedicated aide for them because they were having issues with the executive function, issues with with as far as, I guess, environment, social, aspect, things of that nature, but they were learning, they were doing well academically, and they were still met with a no. Teachers basically were saying that they were overstretched, the classrooms are overcrowded, they weren't able to best meet the needs of the children, and they trying their best with everyone, but they have some children that fits in one barrier and another children that needs extra help. So basically, I just been advocating for my children just to meet nothing, to get nothing, and the resources that I'm asking for, I've been told a hard no. And so I just wanted to, impress on the board that we need a revision of the 504 plans, the IEPs, and the children with disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. King. Next speaker we have is Mr. Timothy Meyer, Mount Rainier Elementary School PTO President, fully funding the blueprint.
Thank you very much, and welcome back from spring break to everyone. Winter break. First, thank you to the superintendent and the whole PGCPS team for all your hard work getting our buildings ready for a safe return. I emphasize safe because many of you have heard me say over and over, every child has the right to get to and from school safely. That certainly applies in snowstorms as well. So thank you very much. Last week was a vivid reminder of how a school's impact goes far beyond the classroom. For many families, schools are the centers of our communities, a critical source of food, especially at our 100-plus Title I schools, a source of belonging and friendship and mental health for us kids. And let's be honest, those hours at school each day are the structure helping so many parents do the work that provides for their families. Now think about the many vital roles that our schools play. Then look at the budget challenges we now face and some Annapolis politicians who are basically saying the blueprint is too hard, so sorry, but never mind. If we don't fix our budget issues at both the county and state levels, our schools won't suddenly close. But make no mistake, the impact will be felt. A scaled-back blueprint without full funding would make it even harder to retain teachers and staff. It would put school construction, CTE programs, and wraparound services, especially for early childhood and special needs students, at risk, and take away critical extra funding for schools with the highest concentrations of poverty. I have been a Title I PTO leader, Title I school PTO leader for 6 years, and I know that the blueprint is working. Remember, we have the blueprint in the first place because our students faced a $7,800 adequacy funding gap. Investing in Maryland students is not a line item in a budget, and the blueprint doesn't have an asterisk that we only support our students during a surplus. It's a decades-long commitment that here in Maryland, education is the priority, and it's a promise that we expect our elected officials to keep. We've built parent coalitions before on pedestrian safety, on climate change, and so many other issues. Parents in this board must come together and we must work together, speak as one PGCPS, and make clear, keeping the promise of the blueprint isn't negotiable, it's expected. And I ask PGCEA also to please use your voice and help make sure that full blueprint backing is a baseline requirement for your support for politicians. A fully funded blueprint must be our joint priority, and that campaign has to start right now. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. Next is Michelle Clark, individual bargaining.
Let's go. Good evening, everyone. I'm Michelle Clark. I am a early childhood special educator at Kenmore Early Childhood Center. And I came tonight to talk about the collective bargaining process and how it needs to stay transparent. We have, over the past 2 presidents, starting with Teresa Dudley back in 2018 and 3 years ago under Dr. Christie, used an open bargaining process. And one of the things that I personally did the last 2 times around, is invited members of the board to come out and watch the negotiations. The school system represents you. You're the ones who make the final decision. And The best people to see what's going on are the people who have to make those decisions. Now, I understand there may be some barriers, but we need to work through them, and we need to get to that point. The issues that these parents have brought up about special education, those are the types of issues that we can bring out in open bargaining by inviting parents and students to speak. Who knows better what's going on in our school system than the people who are in it? It's very different being up at Sasser or in another administration building than it is being in a classroom. I can tell you personally, this is now the second day where my co-teacher, because of an emergency, has been out, and the paraprofessional in my classroom has been out. I have not had a fourth person. We're supposed to have 2 paraprofessionals in a pre-K co-talk classroom for 4 years. It's not a new problem. It is a continuing issue with staffing, with caseloads, which I know can't be bargained, but it can be talked about. And we need to realize that the reason why some of these students aren't getting what they need is because your educators are so dang stressed out that we can't provide what we need. We can't emotionally give our students everything they need. My students, I tell my parents every year, your babies are my babies and I'm going to treat them as such. And I do. I never knew there was such a thing as a pre-K autism classroom, but somehow this year I seem to have one with students with more and more intense needs. It's happening more. It takes a lot. You have to give a lot. And if we at least had our extra person in our classroom, it would help us a lot. I understand what these parents say. I see it every day. I am at my wit's end. I was up all night last night doing reports, and I can't do my work during the student day ever because of these conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Next public speaker we have is Mr. Stanley Martin, Athletics. Okay. Moving on to Ms. Phyllis Wright, Individual Safety and Security.
Welcome back. Happy New Year, everyone. My name is Phyllis Wright, to those who don't know me. I'm here today because of 2 things. You had a town hall meeting just day before yesterday, and what we did not like was the calls were screened before the people was able to ask you a question. So if I wanted to call in to make a comment to you, I had to talk to someone else. If they didn't like what I had to say, they would move on to the next caller. I like if we have a town hall that each and every person wants to speak to whoever on the board or superintendent, they're able to ask their own questions and not go through a third party. Number 1. Number 2, school safety. You know, I'm big on school safety. I have 2 beautiful daughters here, Prince George's County Public School System. My heart broke for that baby in Potomac. I work with Chair Brandon on the school safety project, where I went out there and I volunteered a lot of hours. I volunteer a lot of hours in our school system. We need more security. We need teachers to be able to break up a fight, but they said it's not in their contract. They won't do that. So if a child is being assaulted, they just sit there and watch. It won't help. So we need to put that in place. We need to have someone able to go in the restrooms or to monitor restroom or how many kids is going in the bathroom, because we know a lot of fights are happening in there as well. I volunteer at William Hall and I volunteer at Flowers High School. Where's my daughter? We need to help. You guys got to do better. We have to protect and secure our children when our parents are dropping our kids off to you all. You all have to make sure that they're safe. The baby that was attacked, my heart goes out to her because that could have happened to my daughter. We need to do better with security. We need to make sure our children are safe when they walk on our property. We need to do that. We need to get more parents as well to volunteer. I can't find my app on my phone. It said it's not available, so I know we're just coming back from a new year, so all this week I couldn't pull it up. So maybe we can look into that as well. But we have to do better. We have to do better. In the next town hall meeting that you have, sir, please let the people speak. Don't let them talk to someone else. If they don't like what they have to say, that they won't be able to speak to you. I don't think it's fair to the public. I think we all have a right, everybody in here have a right to speak and say whatever they need to say when it addressed to our children and to Prince George's County, because everybody don't want to say bad. I don't have bad children. I have very good girls, and we need to recognize our good children as well as we recognize our bad children as well. So we need to do that as well, too. So thank you all so much, and have a nice year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. I want to recognize Ms. Shannon Reed, individual examining process to improve learning.
Good evening. I'm a teacher who has taught in PGCPS since 2001 and a parent whose youngest child is currently a senior in PGCPS. The quality of education my oldest child received from 4th to 12th grade in PGCPS was remarkably better than the education either of my younger two children received from K to 12 in PGCPS. It is my responsibility as a parent to know about my children's education and to engage my child teachers and the district in meaningful ways to improve the quality of that education. Children who have this level of support are more likely to become readers, writers, thinkers, and creators. I also think that this level of parental engagement strengthens communities since empowered parents actively participating as responsible, capable beings create a model that invites others to do so. This is critically important for students whose disengagement may be a reflection of their parents' disengagement. Engaging parents in upcoming negotiations for teachers' contract also allows parents to hear actual teachers speak about the reality of current education and consider how they might work better as parents and advocates. 5 years ago, I could not imagine nor grasp the changes I now see in teaching and learning. It is no wonder that people outside of the classroom cannot fathom the demands and the stress teachers have endured. I do not believe most parents understand the level of teacher sacrifice because teachers' voices have been significantly muted by fatigue, practices, and structures. In at least the last 5 years, there has been one single in-person teacher town hall. At that one, where real teachers spoke clearly about real issues, the district resorted to virtual town halls where very few teachers spoke. The teachers who speak often present trivial matters instead of speaking insightfully about the issues that have created a shortage of licensed teachers. Listening to these teachers, it is as if the 10 long years I spent at a high school dealing with nonsense did not exist. However, I know for sure that every single principal at that high school chased hordes of teachers out of the school during that long 10-year stretch. These principals demanded childlike obedience of adult professionals instead of modeling respect as adult professionals. My first year there was marked by shingles, and my last year there was marked by foolishness. In education, as is often the case in life, failure is often rooted in dysfunctional social and environmental conditions. The upcoming negotiations for a new teacher contract is an opportunity for teachers to speak to their professional and extended community about things that can make education better. Retaining and attracting quality teachers in this new year with a new board and new possibility seems possible if PGCPS uses this opportunity to begin working with all the parts united to make the community better. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Next speaker is Kyra Marshall Walker, Maya Angelou French Immersion, PTSA, agenda item PGCEA. I thought that was her. Alrighty, Annette Jones, individual, agenda item PGCEA.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here to ask that PGCPS reconsider your decision to meet with PGCEA to facilitate an open bargain process. This process creates a win-win for both parties. It builds trust, which is needed in any negotiation. Please be reminded that in the last two negotiations were an open bargain negotiated strategy, which was extremely successful for both parties. PGCEA received critical acclaim and was sought after for consultation to mirror the success and positivity that was displayed in the process. This strategy provides transparency in exercising a democratic process that is crucial for both parties. Such approach offers first-hand and personal stories, which makes a difference to provide an on-time response on issues. Open bargaining allows each party to demonstrate fairness and reasonableness and allowing everyone to witness the negotiation. This method will elevate our leaders and reinforce the trust in both parties to arrive at amicable agreements. Open bargaining diffuses attempt and open to positive intent and honesty in processing of the negotiation. Please understand that it is an inclusive strategy that aims to problem solving collectively to meet the needs of both parties openly where respect and honesty are exercised openly. What this does is to build relationships and ideal partnerships for the good of the county. I'm asking to consider open bargaining and urge all board members here who are knowledgeable of PGCEA priorities to encourage PGCPS to open bargaining, to consider the strategy. Open bargaining offers a safe space to negotiate differences amicably and to reach the solutions that are purposeful and effective. My voice is going. Traditionally, open bargaining is redundant. Traditional bargaining is redundant. Open bargaining now provides full disclosure and always allow everyone present to discuss, explain, offered, accepted, or rejected. This strategy would be encouraging to future hirees and place our county in a positive direction of being transparent, providing clear communication in the bargaining process, and build and preserve workplace relationships. This would certainly boost our retention deficit. As I said before, the days of negotiating behind closed doors, fanning the culture of secrecy is over. Consider open bargaining, please.
Thank you. Dr. Susan Windsor, individual, agenda item PGCEA.
Greetings, distinguished members of the board, Superintendent House, esteemed colleagues, and superstar students, parents, and community members. I am Dr. Suzanne Windsor, an at-large director with PGCEA, graduate of Gwynn Park High School, and pupil personnel worker completing my 32nd year here in PGCPS, speaking as an individual in support of open bargaining. Oh, gorgeous Prince George's County. We stand at the precipice of uncertain political times with an incoming administration that is hostile against both public education and labor unions. Our opponents stand at the ready to assail us on every side through a formal national agenda laid out against us in such writings as Project 2025. But in the words of NEA President Becky Pringle, when they go low, we go local. Because when we fight, we win. So we as a community must be on one accord and walk lockstep together against the swelling tide of misinformation and the censorship of truth. Transparency builds trust, and trust flourishes into unity, through which we may continue to progress together. This is why it's vital that we continue with open bargaining for the common good of all of our educators, students, and the families we serve. We cannot turn back now. We cannot go back to dark private room deals that appear clandestine and only benefit the employer. We must continue to receive open input from staff, students, and parents, as we are the actual experts in the educational and social emotional needs of those we have a duty to serve and represent. Why such a tax on education? Because as we know, education is the great equalizer in preparing our students, our babies, to have a successful and fair chance at a future. A free and appropriate public education provides the roots to the foundation on which the bricks of civility, culture, and critical thinking are laid. Open bargaining for the common good ties education with community growth and financial success as we strive to not only educate our students, but to uplift the whole of our people in our community, so that our students may stem, bud, and blossom into productive citizens that not only touch the state, but touch the world. Illustrious board members, I humbly beseech you to honor your constituents, the educators that are counting on you, and our most precious resource, our children. We are depending on you to enact and uphold policies and procedures that keep the lines of communication open and transparent to ensure for a negotiation process that is beyond reproach. Please protect, promote, and support open bargaining so that we may continue to bargain for the common good of us all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Felix Lazaro, individual agenda item PGCEA.
Good evening, esteemed members of the Board of Education, Superintendent House, PGCPS officials, and staff. My name is Felix Lazaro, a special educator at C. Elizabeth Trigg Regional School and the product of alternative certification route via Notre Dame of Maryland University. We have 154 students with profound or significant cognitive disabilities, and the number is still increasing. They function similar to 2 or 3-year-olds, although they are in the elementary levels, middle schools, or even high schools. Students start coming in at around 7:30 in the morning. They eat breakfast. After their book bags are hung up in the cabins, communication journals are read for, parent messages, if there are any. They need to be uploaded into the Maryland Online under parent contacts and replied to immediately thereafter. During winter, the sweaters and jackets and all extra layers of clothes need to be taken off and hung in the cabins as well. All these layers must be put on when they go home exactly the same way they showed up in the morning. Otherwise, I will get telephone calls from the parents. During instruction, the classroom teacher has to implement the whole group and the small group centers with the supplementary aids and accommodations contained in the IEPs of our students. If the student's IEP annual review takes place before November or December of the school year, the IEP annual review will have to be scheduled again before the end of the current school year. These are only a snapshot of what is done in the classroom every day. Members of the board, I invite all of you to come to my school. Our superintendent has obliged, so please do so and consider open door bargaining for negotiation. By the way, the title of my speech is CRI and Regional Programs Go for Open Bargaining. Thank you very much, and mabuhay!
Thank you. Next, Mr. Brian Glover, individual agenda item PGCEA.
Good evening. Protocol has already been established. I am Brian Glover. I'm speaking as an individual PGCEA board member at large, vocal music teacher at what? The Barack Obama Elementary School. Mr. Moss, hope to see you soon. Visit my school. I want to address the importance of engaging in open bargaining with our union. First, before I became any of the leadership, I've observed open bargaining and really enjoyed just observing. We couldn't comment, we could watch and see the players fighting for my job, our scholars. It's a thrill. It's really rewarding. I had a lot that I was going to read and write, but my colleagues already went over, and I don't want to bore you to death. But I'm speaking from the heart. And plus, I'm excited. My scholars we just did a concert at the school for a Martin Luther King essay contest. We need you. We voted for you. We marched for you. We went door to door to make sure you were here. And we are thankful for each and every one of you. Everyone. But we need this so we can feel as though our voice is always heard, that we're not forgotten. We love our scholars. I've been teaching 24 years, 11 years back in Prince George's County, and love being a vocal music teacher and the course director for my elementary scholars. We are mentors. We are the leaders. We help build their strength. They come to us for the support. Think back of your vocal music teacher, your dance teacher, theater, the arts, the things you weren't able to do in regular class you could do in a performing arts class. We're counting on you. We're glad you're here representing us. Do not forget us. Please do not forget we are all in this together. Yes, this is 2025, and Happy New Year, if I didn't say that. I just want us to make sure I had the additional points. Just remember this, and I'm not going to bore you. This is my first time ever speaking at a school board as an educator, and I'm thrilled and honored to have that chance to do this. But we are you. We represent you in the forefront with our parents, and they see us first before they see you. Please remember us. God bless, and have a great, successful school year, and please be our team player with PGCEA. And remember, we're all here for our scholars. God bless everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Glover. The next speaker is Philomena Owan. Sorry if I mispronounced your name.
I will tell you that my husband of 31 years will not be pleased, and he's here somewhere today, so it's Owona. Good evening, everyone. May I begin? Okay. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Superintendent House. Happy New Year to all of you. My name is Philomena Owona. I'm a 25-year veteran educator. This evening, I'm here to address the issue of open bargaining. Collective bargaining should be transparent, inclusive, and collaborative. That has been said several times tonight, but it bears repeating to ensure that educators who are directly impacted by policy decisions, voices are heard and are valued. Keep in mind that our working conditions are our students' learning conditions. Our open bargaining is vital in a broader campaign to make changes we need in PGCPS. PGCPS has real challenges ahead. Vacancies, blueprint implementation that we have to continue to fight for, etc. So a lack of transparency during negotiations is not in our best interest. Educators, students, families, and community members must have a voice in addressing challenges in our schools. We are all interest holders. PGCEA and PGCPS have used open bargaining since 2018. That brought about many real changes that positively contributed to teacher retention that impacts student achievement. Every educator brings ideas and value to our profession because student needs vary. You heard from Felix. You heard from our parents, and by the way, they're from my school. Those are my students. I didn't know they were going to be here. But PGCPS needs to meet with PGCEA in open sessions, providing public disclosure of all our negotiated proposals and an opportunity for public comment. I think Brian said it best when he spoke from the heart. This is an opportunity for us to really collaborate. All of you here, we appreciate what you bring, but we are on the forefront. Every child is different. And we are the ones who deal with these students. We have to come up with all kinds of strategies. We have to come up with different things, and sometimes we don't have the resources. But when we can come up here and tell you that what we need and you listen in collective bargaining, that means a lot. I remember standing in front of this board some time ago and talking about resources that we needed in restorative practices and other things, and this very board telling us that it didn't have money to do so. And now you see what it leads with discipline issues and several other things. We need to collaborate, so please consider open bargaining for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our public speakers for the night. There is one written comment. The written comment can be found on board docs. It is as follows. Mika Caldwell, individual, special education, has been uploaded to board docs when we received no pre-recorded videos. Thank you for all the comments. Moving on.